The leader of SoftBank is feeling the AGI and thinking that it's coming a lot sooner than he once imagined. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. SoftBank's Masayoshi Son says that AGI will arrive much earlier than he thought. At this point, Son has to be just about the most enthusiastic AI investor on the planet. In June, he said, SoftBank was founded for what purpose? For what purpose was Masa-san born? It may sound strange, but I think I was born to realize artificial superintelligence. I'm super serious about it. Now, just a few months ago, he said that AGI was still 2 to 3 years away. Recent developments seem to have accelerated his thinking, with Sun stating at an event on Monday that, quote, I now realize that AGI would come much earlier. The event was used to announce a joint venture between SoftBank and OpenAI aimed at driving Japanese AI adoption. The venture will develop an AI agent platform called Crystal Intelligence, with a goal to, quote, help make every knowledge worker more effective and solve even more complex problems. 1,000 SoftBank employees will be assigned to kickstart sales and engineering work, and the focus will initially be offering services to Japanese businesses before establishing a plan for a global rollout. SoftBank Group will be using their own organization as the test case, paying $3 billion annually to deploy OpenAI models across their businesses. Notably, this includes chipmaker ARM, which will, quote, use Crystal Intelligence to drive innovation and boost productivity across the company, strengthening its pivotal role in advancing AI globally. Overall, SoftBank plans to automate 100 million workflows using Crystal Intelligence. Now, at this point, every AI announcement is just a competition for how close to Googleplex your numbers can be. And there is something of a perception in Silicon Valley that taking money from SoftBank is akin to a financial death knell. But there is definitely a lot going on here, and it's probably worth paying attention to. Speaking of AGI and the brave new world we're moving into, Meta have released a new policy document stating that they may not release models they deem too risky. The company's Frontier AI framework details 2 categories of models that may not be suitable for release: high risk and critical risk. They consider these to include AI systems capable of aiding in cybersecurity, chemical, and biological attacks. The difference with critical risk systems is their ability to bring about a, quote, catastrophic outcome that cannot be mitigated in a proposed deployment context. High-risk systems are still capable of making these kinds of attacks easier to carry out, but not as reliably as a critical risk system. Meta gives a few examples of their nightmare scenarios for AI risk, including a, quote, automated end-to-end compromise of a best practice protected corporate scale environment, or the, quote, proliferation of high-impact biological weapons. Now, this is the first safety policy update we've seen from a major AI lab since the Trump inauguration and the accelerationist vibe shift. To what extent, then, is this Meta saying, you don't need to regulate us because we're taking it upon ourselves to implement safeguards? That remains to be seen, but I think it's at least a reasonable interpretation. When it comes to determining these risks, Meta does not seem to be using any particular test to classify risk, but instead relying on the input of internal and external researchers with review from senior-level decision makers. They stated that, quote, the science of evaluation is not sufficiently robust as to provide definitive quantitative metrics. If Meta determines that a system is high risk, they will limit internal access and won't release it until mitigations are implemented. Critical systems will be locked down to prevent exfiltration, and the company will stop development until the system can be made less dangerous. In the policy document, Meta writes, we believe that by considering both benefits and risks and making decisions about how to develop and deploy advanced AI, it is possible to deliver that technology to society in a way that preserves the benefits of that technology to society while also maintaining an appropriate level of risk. Now, in a positive development surrounding risk, Anthropic is challenging hackers to break into their new AI security system. The company claims their newly developed method can block 95% of jailbreak attempts and are inviting red teamers to try to defeat it. Jailbreaks are specifically designed prompts that circumvent restrictions on an LLM's output. One example that was surprisingly successful on the previous generation of models was to tell the LLM to, quote, do anything now. Another is the notorious God mode, which substituted letters with numbers to sneak past safety filters. Jailbreaking is relatively easy to minimize, but methods usually involve a lot of incorrectly refused prompts or adding a ton of compute to run supervision models. Anthropic is claiming that their method avoids those trade-offs. The company has launched a demo with 8 different types of unsafe requests. Red teamers are invited to try to jailbreak the system by finding a prompt that unlocks them all. The intention is to prove the system is resistant against universal jailbreaks that work for all unsafe requests. Currently, no one has managed to get past more than 3 levels using a single prompt. To construct this system, Anthropic trained a new constitutional classifier using 10,000 generated jailbreaking prompts. This AI technique relies on training a model on a list of principles that define allowed and disallowed actions aligned with human values. This is Anthropic's constitutional approach. To minimize incorrectly refused prompts, the team also trained the model on benign queries that should be allowed. Their baseline version of Claude had an 86% jailbreak success rate, but with constitutional classifiers added, that fell to just 4.4%. Not perfect, but absolutely would be huge progress. Lastly today, AI has won its first Grammy. Sort of. The Beatles' track Now and Then won the Grammy for Best Rock Performance, making it the first time an AI-assisted song has taken home the award. Now, you'll remember that this song didn't include a generated version of John Lennon, but instead used AI techniques to clean up archived demo tracks. Now and Then was first put together during the Beatles' anthology remastering project in 1995. It was based around demos recorded by John Lennon in the late 1970s, with Paul, Ringo, and George adding their parts in the 1990s. The song was never released, with technological limits at the time preventing John's vocals from being separated from the piano on the demo track. In 2021, the surviving Beatles worked with filmmaker Peter Jackson and his sound team to clean up the demo using modern machine learning techniques. The tech is similar to that used in video calls to remove unwanted background noise. When the song was rumored in 2023, there was a lot of anti-AI backlash. Paul McCartney addressed the controversy, stating, "To be clear, nothing has been artificially or synthetically created. It's all real and we all play on it. We cleaned up some existing recordings, a process which has gone on for years." Whatever the case, the Grammy committee has seen past the backlash to award the Beatles their 8th award, thanks, in this case, to AI. That's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief Headlines edition. Next up, the main episode.